Jehovah's Witnesses are constantly stressed out.
They're taught to fear the outside world and, avoid close association with classmates and coworkers. They can't have sex unless they're married. They have to juggle work, their secular jobs, with attending mandatory meetings and preaching every week. And all this activity, tends to deprive them of adequate rest.
This article, How to Deal with Stress, is a prime example of what I like to refer to as glossy gaslighting, courtesy of jw.org. On the surface, these articles appear to be a very reasonable source of advice and spiritual guidance, but really the information is completely contradictory to what Jehovah's Witnesses are taught at their meetings. It's incredibly generalized, broad strokes advice that ignores the context or reality of being one of Jehovah's Witnesses and can make an already stressed out witness legitimately feel like they're going insane. So why do they do this?
By presenting a sleek, simplistic image, the organization is hoping to market themselves in a way that's more appealing and easily digestible to outsiders who aren't familiar with their utterly bizarre, complicated interpretation of Scripture and overall toxic ideology. The Jehovah's Witnesses Writing and Public Relations Department have become very skilled at presenting their message in a way that's pared down, diluted, and to ensure that any existing Jehovah's Witnesses will continue to suppress their doubts despite evidence to the contrary. So I want to walk through this article and highlight a few examples of glossy gaslighting. And to be clear, this is true of every article. It is just pick a card, any card. Pin the tail on the donkey here. Wherever you land, the gaslighting is so pervasive. I'm picking just one article to give you an example. Okay, first subheading. Try to live one day at a time. Quotes Matthew 6:34 here. It says, "Never be anxious about the next day, for the next day will have its own anxieties. Daily anxieties are a part of life, but do not increase today's anxieties by adding tomorrow's to them. Try to live one day at a time." Yeah, already there's just so much to unpack here. Jehovah's Witnesses are conditioned to live on the edge of their seats. They're told to maintain a sense of urgency. Christ is going to come back like a thief in the night. Jehovah, who they believe to be God, Jehovah watches everything you do. Jehovah's Witnesses are constantly pressured to live for tomorrow. Jehovah's Witnesses believe that one day the earth and our current society will be transformed into a paradise or utopia that consists of, yes, you guessed it, only other Jehovah's Witnesses, and that all other manner of religion and government will be eradicated. This is the dangling carrot that Jehovah's Witnesses have been sold for well over 100 years. And if you believe this, if you are a true, genuine believer, it can generate significant anxiety because you exist in a constant state of waiting. They've been told that whatever's burdening them or weighing them down will be removed when paradise comes. So, keep holding out. You want to get that reward. You don't want to give up and miss out on future blessings. That's another term they like to throw out. In general, this is good advice. Every day is going to have something, or, life is always going to have something. But, to make it look like don't think about tomorrow and make yourself sick with worry right out the gate. Total gaslighting bullshit. Okay, so it goes on to say, stress can cause anxiety. So try this. First, recognize that some stress is inevitable. Again, that's not wrong. Fretting over things you cannot prevent increases your stress. That's what gets me right here, though. Second, understand that quite often things do not turn out the way we may fear they will. Again, very broad strokes advice. Not wrong, but in this context, if Jehovah's Witnesses don't follow all the expectations of the organization or break a rule in their laundry list of rules, they will be met with swift and harsh punishment. This usually means they're disfellowshipped or excommunicated from the congregation, but bare minimum, they will be guilt-tripped and soft-shunned by the congregation. And what I mean by that is, even though they're not officially publicly shamed and excommunicated, their friends and family will begin to distance themselves, and that person will be ostracized. So, yeah, Jehovah's Witnesses have every reason to believe that things can turn south real fast. They have every reason to be stressed out and to fear the worst. Okay, next subheading. Set reasonable standards. It says, do not be a perfectionist. Avoid setting unrealistically high standards for yourself or others. Jehovah's Witnesses checkbox their whole life. Don't do this, do that. Make sure I say this right. Stand up straight. Don't think this. This is bad. And you don't get to opt out. You got to earn your salvation, Holmes. The organization breeds perfectionism and arrogance because if you screw up, you can forfeit your chances at everlasting life. Jehovah's Witnesses believe they are God's chosen people. They set the bar, the highest of the high standards, and are turning around and telling you to chill. This is possibly the most infuriating piece of gaslighting in this article. It says, be modest, set reasonable standards, and know both your limitations and those of others. So what gets me here is that this suggests that Jehovah's Witnesses are allowed to have and enforce personal boundaries. This is extremely misleading. The organization demands the majority of their members' time, energy, and resources, and will use every manner of emotional manipulation to make sure they get it. The organization has violated people's boundaries for decades, disrespected individuals' requests for space and privacy, covered up child sexual abuse. The leadership, known as elders, even have an exhaustive list of rules and regulations to exert as much control over people's lives as possible, which is known as the Secret Elders Handbook. If a Jehovah's Witness said, you know what, I am stressed out, I know my limits, and I'm tapped out, I can't do this anymore. I think I need to take care of my mental and emotional health, and I think that means no longer attending meetings and preaching. You're screwed. They will hunt you down, harass your family. They want your head on a stick. So to make it sound like, oh, you can say no with no repercussions is an outright lie. Draw the line in the sand and you will pay the price. Okay, next subheading. Take care of your health. Physical training is beneficial. 1 Timothy 4:8. Regular exercise promotes better health. Develop healthful habits. Physical activity can lift your mood and improve your body's response to stress. Eat nutritious food and try to avoid skipping meals. Be sure to get enough rest. Avoid harmful solutions to stress, such as smoking or drug and alcohol abuse. In the long run, these heighten stress, perhaps by robbing you of your health and hard-earned money. See your doctor if your stress becomes overwhelming. Getting professional help is not an admission of failure. Okay, so I just want to take a minute to compliment the stunning, healthy, toned, strong stock photography model they've chosen for this article, because that sure as hell ain't a Jehovah's Witness jogging. The organization has never been a hip, happening place to be, and especially now they're rebranding themselves, grasping at straws, but especially now, the only population you really see occupying the seats at the Kingdom Hall are the older, die-hard senior crowd who have been around forever, who are riddled with health problems because they've been told their whole lives, just wait on paradise. In paradise, you'll have, perfect health. You'll have the body you want or whatever, instead of in any way being taught to be proactive with their physical health. I know when I was growing up in the organization, the overwhelming majority of witnesses that I knew were extremely unhealthy. They were lethargic, depressed. A lot of them suffered from depression, self-medicating with alcohol and opioids. So this isn't a cosmetic issue. I'm not saying that being thin automatically makes you healthy. We all know that's not true. What I'm saying is these are all very reasonable guidelines, but the reality is Jehovah's Witnesses have never been encouraged to prioritize their physical health. Any ounce of your free time and energy was expected to be allocated to the ministry. In fact, anytime they would quote that scripture at the top from 1 Timothy, they would purposely breeze past that first sentence and place emphasis only on the second half. It's like in a sick way, they were almost shaming anyone who dared to lift a dumbbell, as if dedicating time to taking care of yourself, or enjoying some sort of healthy physical recreation made you spiritually weak. Okay, now you have this subheading, get support. Okay, so, it mentions a scripture, kind, compassionate words. Talk things over with an understanding person. They can help you see things differently, see a solution you overlooked, and just unburdening yourself can make you feel better. Okay, yeah, so this is a slippery slope. What they're saying is talk things over with another Jehovah's Witness, someone else in the congregation. And, that person is either going to be just as stressed out as you are, or is going to divulge whatever you shared with them with somebody else because they're bored and they have fresh gossip. And before you know it, your stress is compounded because you were counting on your friend's discretion and they made things worse for you, and you might even get into trouble. Anytime you express any sort of authentic human emotion that portrays your life or the organization in less than glowing terms, you risk being chastised or ratted out. This actually closely dovetails with the last bullet point in the previous subsection about physical health, where they claim that seeking professional help is not an admission of failure. That's a very convenient U-turn they've taken, since Jehovah's Witnesses have historically been discouraged, even shamed, from seeking therapy. Mental health services fall under the category of worldly or secular wisdom, which, of course, comes from Satan. So, this is another lovely piece of gaslighting that they pay lip service to, when the reality is you'll definitely get crap from friends and family for speaking to a therapist. And finally, just the cherry on top here that I couldn't help but mention is this tiny, inconspicuous gray box at the end that talks about the power of forgiveness and how showing forgiveness, can reduce stress and stress-related disorders. Again, in any other context, this is good advice. They say resentment and holding grudges and that kind of thing, only poisons your well. Generally speaking, for your own health and sanity, if something's bothering you, try to practice letting things go. But considering the source, this reeks of ulterior motive. This is the organization's tidy way of saying, take the abuse and get over it. Victim of child sexual abuse? Get over it. We know who your abuser is and we've allowed him to roam freely? Get over it. Your husband beats you, your wife's a lunatic? Get over it. We've changed one of our numerous policies, even though, it destroyed your life and family for years. Made massive mistakes but refused to acknowledge them and apologize? Get over it. And the sad part is, Jehovah's Witnesses will read this and beat themselves up. They'll believe that they're being too sensitive, and they really need to take this to heart and change their attitude. It's really a disgusting slap in the face to everyone who has suffered hardship and malice, quite frankly, at the hands of the organization. And Jehovah's Witnesses are human like everyone else. They have bills, work, daily stressors. That's true of everyone. But rather than admit to themselves that the organization is at least a major contributing factor, if not the source of their stress, they are conditioned through articles like these, through this type of glossy gaslighting, to believe that outside factors completely unrelated to the organization are the source of all their problems. Anyways, hope you guys have a great day. Thanks for watching. You can leave a comment, personal experience. Have a good one.